Welcome back to Gilbert's Repairs. Today, my son's recently purchased this 2016 Renault Megane and he's reporting that there's a squeak coming from the back end. So we're just going to go and investigate his rear end. Right, let's get on with it. Right, so we'll give it a good shake, see if we can recreate the noise. Oh yeah, it's definitely like a rubbery sort of noise. I'll take my mic off, put that under there, and we'll see whether that picks it up for the camera. Yeah, it's definitely something. We'll get underneath and have a look. Looking around under the car, it's got a shock absorber there. So that's your shock absorber. It's got a spring. So there's no struts as such. It's a rear beam assembly. Up there, there's a bush in there for the beam that goes right across the back of the car. So whatever we're checking on this side will be mirrored on the other side. So really examine the spring, make sure it's not broken, it's fractured, and it's fine, it's intact. That looks fine. These bushes in here, they look in good order. They're not splayed out or anything. I did see that the exhaust, I'll have to get a shot for you that I'll get some lighting in there. The exhaust is making a noise, but that's not it. So I'll put you on a tripod so that we can hear the noise. Right, so I'm just going to rock the car up and down so I can push him there. You can definitely hear the noise. I'll keep my mouth shut. And it's coming from this area here. So potentially it's that pivot bush. The pivot bush on the rear beam that goes across the car. Could be the spring or the shock. So we'll do it again. Yeah, it's definitely from this area. The exhaust, if I move the exhaust, listen to this. I'll show you that, but it's not that. This isn't, I will sort that, but this isn't the fault. So now I've got to get my screwdriver out and listen whilst rocking the car. So I'm gonna rock the car. I'm going old school. I've got my long screwdriver. I'm gonna get my ear to it and we'll see what we can hear. So we'll go on the bottom bush here first and we'll push. Very slight coming through there, I can hear that. We'll try this bush up here. And we'll push the car up and down. It's definitely not there. Definitely not there. So the bushes are good there, that's a good thing. So I'll go to the top bush up here. Oh yeah, it's that. Definitely that. So it's the top bush of this shock absorber. I'll check the other one and see whether that's the same. An annoying rattle from the exhaust. So he's going to need a pair of new shocks. Right, so here's that squeak on the exhaust. So we've got the back box up there, there's that mount, and we just wiggle him and listen. So we'll just spray a bit of something. We'll just spray a bit of something in that rubber. The shock absorbers I've got for this car, this is a 2017 Renault Megane, and I've had some problems getting the correct shock absorbers for this car. The only way I could get them was from the main dealer, and they were £280. I've managed to get some Monroe shocks, some decent branded shocks here, and the bit that you're interested in, you need to know, is the part number. It's a 376257 SP. I'll put a still up on the screen now of that part number. It's important that you have that part number. The moment you type it in on eBay, you type in Monroe and then that part number, they all come up. If you just type in Renault Megane of this year, they don't come up. You can't get the shocks. They're very difficult to source, but very easy once you've got that part number. Right, let's open up the boot and see what we've got to do in there. I think we've got to get the carpet out. To get to the mounting bolts for the shock absorbers, you've got to get your carpet out. And I think this is the bolts for the top of the shocks. It's extra brace in there, look. Looks like a 17 or a 16, probably a 16 because it's French. Yeah, 16 mil. So that's the two bolts for the shock absorbers, the top end of the shocks. Under the car now, to give you an idea of the layout, there's the shock absorber, the damper runs from there. There's just a nut behind there. And that bolt is attached to the damper, it's part of it. So then the damper goes up there. Let's get some lighting. It's early evening now, I've got poor lighting. And that damper just goes up and mounts up the top there. But that's in the boot. That mounts in the boot of the car. So I'll put you on a mount and we'll undo that to start with. And then we'll go up the top and undo the top bolt. Take off that plastic cap. It exposes the nut there. It's an 18 mil socket you're going to require for this job. Get your 18 mil on there. And then undo him. Yeah, he's nice and tight. Well, we're off to a good start because that's all moving, that's not seized. Oh, so there's a captive washer on there, look. The washer is attached to the nut and it spins. So then I guess we just pull that out, yeah. So now we have to go up in the boot and disconnect the bolt that's up in under the carpet. We're in the boot now. The damper is below here. This is a 16 mil spanner. Just undo this. Okay, so he's out of the threads now. Out he comes. It's quite a long bolt there, look. So we'll go downstairs again now and we should be able to pull the damper out. We should have the top of the damper disconnected if that's the correct bolt I've undone. And we slide him out of here. Maybe if we pull him down, if we compress the damper, maybe we can get him out. So the damper's compressed now. Oh yes, we can do it without it. So you have to compress the damper. So when it's up there, pull the damper down out of its top mount, then you'll be able to slide it out. This damper comes with a banding around it to hold it compressed, so we'll see if that's done purposely to get the right distance. I'm just going to smear a bit of copper grease in there, just so the bolt can pivot nicely in the future. So you can see the damper just connects this point here on the rear beam up to the body of the car. Let's get him up in there. And it just goes up into there. That's that bolt in the boot floor. And he just comes across into a captive nut in there. So there's a nut welded on the back of there. So that's all we got. That's all we're doing. So I'll just poke him out and then we'll try and put up the damper and catch that bolt. It may need two people. All I've done is put a bit of copper slip there, a bit of gold grease in through the center there, so that when the bolt goes in, it should be okay for the future for someone removing it. So we just feed it up into the hole there, get him up in there as we saw earlier, and then we just tuck him up under here. Oh, look at that, it's so easy. I'm going to put that on quick. And then I'm going to go up top and try and catch the bolt up. So I'm back up top now, and you can see there is the actual top of the shock absorber there. And what I've found, I've got the bolt there with the plain portion greased. I found if I bounce the car, can you see it? If you focus your eyes here, if I just bounce the car on my belly, you can see the shock going up and down. I may be able to catch it without having help of anybody. So I'll just try and get him over. So that's where he needs to be. I think I may have him there. Yeah, I got it. Did you hear the surprise in my voice then? I got it first time. So just give the car a little bounce. You can hear the suspension as I do that. So I'll do this. Be careful not to cross this. Take it easy. You don't want to cross that thread. Oh, that's unbelievable. I got it first time without having to have anybody help me. Right, so just a very light pinch here. Just next to nothing. Just leave it loose. So that's loose. And I'll go downstairs and put that nut on, and then we'll do the other side. Right, so we're back down under now. I've greased the shank there, but I've not greased out on the threads where the nut go, look. So they don't need grease on them. So we'll just nip this up, same as up top. So we just leave them slightly loose. And now we can cut the ribbon and officially name this car the Renault Megane 4. God bless all who ride in her. Right, so an important part of this now, important stage. So an important part of this job now, we've left the top mounting boots, left the top mounting boots loose. Oh, God. Right, so an important part of this job now is we've left the top mounting bolts loose, the top two there, and the nuts down below on each end of the dampers. So the dampers are not tightened up fully. So what we have to do now is bounce the car. You can hear the loose damper rattling. Give him a bounce, and you just got to find his position. Now we can tighten up those bolts. So we can tighten these up now that it's bedded in and found it's where it wants to sit. We give them a good tighten. Nice good tighten on them. And the same here. Nice and tight. Right, now we'll go down below and we'll do the same down there. Same again, now it's bedded in. That's that clunking you heard upstairs. You heard that. So now we'll do these up nice and tight. Beautiful. Really tight. So then we put the cap on that prevents rust. And that's it, done. I'm going to do the other side off camera and then we'll take it out on the test drive. Right, so I'm going to try and show you to hear the sound. I've got my microphone here. So when this one is the good one, and there's no noise, you can't hear anything. And then we'll go to the what is the bad shock, and you listen. And that's the fault with this car. That's why we've replaced these. That's the rear shock absorbers replaced on this 2017 Renault Megane. Pretty straightforward task, really. If you look at it the shock absorber is just a top bolt and a bottom nut. It's nothing. It's very basic. Bit of advice, leave that yellow strap in that banding around. That sets the length quite nicely for when you print it up, and you can do it with one person. So that was a useful advice. And also, make sure, just got to remember, get both shock absorbers in, bounce the car up and down, and only then tighten up the top and the bottom securing nuts and bolts. Only when it's in its laden position. If you found it useful and it's been informative today, could you please like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you next time.